She crouched in front of the mirror in the dark, clinging to them, the baby in her right arm, the child in her left. There were footsteps in the other room. She had heard them an instant ago. She had switched off the light, scooped up her son, pulled her daughter across the bedroom to hide in the far corner. She had heard footsteps. "Do you remember that scar Guy had? It was right here." Mrs. Fetters put her finger beside Sabine's eye and traced a line down the side of her face. Sabine nodded. "Where did he get that scar?" "Playing hockey at Dartmouth. Someone got him with a stick." "I got him," his mother said, crossing her arms around her chest. 7 years old. I was working in the yard and Kitty and Guy were playing. I was trying to cut back a bush, but my shears were too small, and I told Guy to go to the garage and get the big shears. But Guy was all busy with Kitty. They were making something, and I had to holler at him again. Told him he better run, 'cause I wasn't going to ask him a third time. Well, he went off in a flash, and not 2 seconds later he's coming back and he's got the clippers, and they're open, like this. She put her palms together and turned back her hands. It's like he's running with a couple of butcher knives. And I say to him, don't run, though not a minute before I'd told him to run. And he gets confused. He looks at me and down he goes over the hose line just like that. I'll tell you, if you have kids, you spend your whole life thinking how you'll never forgive yourself. You always think you should have been watching them better, but half the things happen when you're looking right at them. When I was born, the name for what I was did not exist. They called me Nymph, assuming I would be like my mother and aunts and 1,000 cousins. Least of the lesser goddesses. Our powers were so modest they could scarcely ensure our eternities. My mother was one of them, a naiad, guardian of fountains and streams. She caught my father's eye when he came to visit the halls of her own father, Oceanos. When he woke in the woods, in the dark and the cold of the night, he'd reach out to touch the child sleeping beside him. Nights dark beyond darkness, and the days more gray each one than what had gone before, like the onset of some cold glaucoma dimming away the world. He pushed away the plastic tarpaulin and raised himself in the stinking robes and blankets and looked toward the east for any light, but there was none. In the dream from which he'd wakened, he had wandered in a cave where the child led him by the hand, their light playing over the wet flowstone walls, like pilgrims in a fable, swallowed up and lost among the inward parts of some granitic beast. Lynn Mason was dying. She was a partner in the agency. Dying? It was uncertain. She was in her early 40s, breast cancer. No one could identify exactly how everyone had come to know this fact. Was it a fact? Some people called it a rumor, but in fact, there was no such thing as a rumor. There was fact, and there was what did not come up in conversation. The news of Lynn brought Frank Brizzolera to mind. We recalled looking at Frank and thinking he had 6 months tops. Old Briz, we called him. He smoked like a fiend. He stood outside the building in the most inclement weather, absorbing old golds in nothing but a sweater vest. Then, and only then, he looked indomitable. He began to cough. Some people put him on their celebrity death watch every year because of the coughing. He knew it, too. He knew he was on death watch, and that certain wagering individuals would profit from his death. He knew it because he was one of us, and we knew everything.